Welcome to the Ornithology Podcast. I'm RaDel Hinckley and I'm going to be your host. All the images you see in this podcast are taken by me. Ornithology. What is it? Technically, it isn't a real word, but I saw it recently as I was scrolling around the internet and I decided to kind of adopt it for my own use. The first part, orni, comes from the Greek word ornis, which means bird. Theology, as most of us know already, is the study of God. What I'm going to attempt to do with this podcast is to examine bird species and try to learn lessons from them. Lessons that hopefully teach me something about God. The Bible verse that I'm going to start every one of these podcasts with is one of my favorites. Job 12, 7 through 8. But ask the animals, and they will instruct you. Ask the birds of the sky, and they will tell you. Or speak to the earth, and it will instruct you. Let the fish of the sea inform you. Nature knows about God, and if we study it and examine it, we can learn a lot about God also. I hope you enjoy this podcast series. I know I sure am. But even more important than enjoying it, I hope you learn something about God, just like me. With that said, let's get started. Episode 1. Overseers. A common bird at most feeders here in Missouri is the black-capped chickadee. Or it's called the Carolina chickadee if you're from southern Missouri. I absolutely love these little guys, although they are a pain to photograph. They're quick, like faster than Tyreek Hill quick. They'll swoop in, grab a seed from the feeder, and disappear as quickly as they appeared. I recently went back and found some of my favorite chickadee images for this podcast. They're amazing little birds. Did you know chickadees can actually reduce their core body temperature by up to 18 degrees so they can survive in colder climates? What an amazing ability to have. They have several other abilities, and those abilities inspired my latest Bible study. Chickadees remind me of the overseers in the Bible. Now, there are a lot of places you can read about overseers, but the main one that I kind of focused on was 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 5. Qualifications of church leaders. This saying is trustworthy. If anyone aspires to be an overseer, he desires a noble work. An overseer, therefore, must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, self-controlled, sensible, respectable, hospitable, an able teacher, not addicted to wine, not a bully but gentle, not quarrelsome, not greedy, one who manages his own household completely, having his children under control with all dignity. If anyone does not know how to manage his own household, how will he take care of God's church? Overseers in the church have a very important job, to shepherd the flock. Chickadees in a flock of birds have the same job. As I studied this passage and studied chickadees, here are several of the common links I found between them. Chickadees are both hospitable and respectable. They're found in large winter flocks, mixed with other types of birds, often tufted titmice, white-breasted nuthatches, and a variety of warblers. Chickadees are gentle and not quarrelsome, not greedy, as well as able teachers. They'll go out and they will search for a new food source, for nourishment, and when they find it, they'll lead others to it. They're willing to share with the flock. Chickadees shepherd the flock. They protect it, just like our Overseers are called to protect our flock in the church. When a chickadee spots danger, they have a warning sound so that the rest of the flock knows danger is nearby. Chickadees are generally monogamous, the husband of one wife like our overseers are to be. They form bonds in the fall and they stay together all the way through the following nesting season. Chickadees manage their households completely. The pair works together to dig out old holes in trees to make the nest. The female will incubate the egg while the male provides food for both him and the female. And they provide food for the young after they hatch. Chickadees are amazingly sensible and self-controlled. They have an amazing ability to store food in preparation for winter, instead of just eating it all right away. They are able to remember up to 1,000 different storage places. Finally, chickadees have an amazing ability to allow their brain neurons containing old information to die off. They then replace those dead neurons with new ones. That way they can adapt to the changes in their social flocks, the environments in which they live, and they can do that even though they have tiny brains. It reminds me of the passage in Philippians chapter 3, verses 13 and 14. Brothers, I do not consider myself to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind, reaching forward to what is ahead, I pursue as my goal the prize promised by God's heavenly call in Christ Jesus. Chickadees forget the old and strive for the new. My church is blessed with great overseers. I'm blessed to follow them. Hopefully now when I go out and I spy a chickadee and try to get a photograph of it, I'm going to remember the qualities that make them great and strive for those qualities in my life so I can live like them.